Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell you the truth about silver. Today is Monday the 10th of June 2019 and we're reporting on the fact that despite the trade war between the US and China, China's exports have risen and imports have fallen. How come? Let's investigate. We have reported in a number of YouTube videos and articles, as shown on our website illuminatisilver.com, that trade tensions between the US and China escalated last month after the Trump administration accused China of having reneged on promises to make structural changes to its economic practices. The result was that on the 10th of May, tariffs were raised to 25% on $200 billion worth of Chinese goods, and steps taken to levy duties on the remaining $300 billion worth of Chinese imports. Of course, as one would expect, China retaliated with tariff hikes on US goods. Now, the plan was for President Trump to meet with President Xi of China at the G20's Leaders Summit at Osaka on June 28th and 29th, by which time it was hoped that an agreement would have been reached. Such an agreement now appears increasingly unlikely, especially as trade sanctions are spreading from goods to services, with China also issuing a warning to citizens about risks of travelling in the United States, and US lawmakers pushing to tighten visas for Chinese students. We need not even mention the conflict with Huawei, or Huawei as others pronounce it, the electronics company, which has essentially been blacklisted by the United States, and numerous other examples of potential conflict escalation. Now, despite this, it has just been reported that China's total exports rose 0.4% between January and May, compared with the previous year, while imports declined by 3.7% from a year earlier. At the same time, China's trade surplus with the United States widened to a 4-month high of nearly $27 billion in May, from just over $21 billion in April. Ironically, we have had President Trump, quite rightly, criticize China for devaluing its currency in the past. But now we have the situation whereby the yuan has depreciated nearly 3% against the dollar since May. So this situation has only got worse. China is now looking at ways to loosen economic policy further in the months ahead to shore up economic growth and to encourage the economy to become more consumption-based. This has been further aided by China's central bank only intervening very lightly to prop up the yuan, which is evidenced by its recent rise in foreign exchange reserves. On the other side of the coin, exports to the United States fell at a more moderate pace of 4.2% after dropping 13.2% in April, while China's imports of US goods declined 26.8% from a year earlier. Many analysts now fear that China's central bank could cut their benchmark interest rate in the event of a full-blown trade war, especially if the US Federal Reserve eases policy first, which many believe to be quite likely. The International Monetary Fund last week cut its 2009 economic growth forecast for China to 6.2%. So such a credit loosening is quite possible. And this marks the country's weakest expansion in 29 years. But let's confess, this is still a phenomenal growth rate figure compared with the rest of us experiencing in the West. Now, many have been puzzled by this rise in exports from China, but initial research indicates that exporters increased their production and buyers, purchasers increased their demand for Chinese goods before the tariffs were increased. It shall be most interesting to see what the figures will be from here on in. Now, we accept that the world is ultimately heading towards a recession, though quite frankly we estimate it will take longer than many predict, as central banks will indeed adopt measures and governments introduce spending initiatives to ameliorate some of its worst effects. There is clearly a showdown brewing between China and the United States, and whilst one would like to think that common sense will prevail, one cannot be too certain. That said, just look at how markets have responded today to the news announced over the weekend that the Mexico tariffs would not now be introduced. The Dow Jones is up some 185 points at 26,169, breaking that psychologically important barrier of 26,000. The dollar is up. The dollar index is up 0.20 at 96.75. And gold has fallen some $12 to $13.28, and silver has fallen back 29 cents to $14.73. Just imagine what would happen if the China-US trade conflict was resolved. What do you think? Will the China-US conflict be resolved in the not-too-distant future? If it worsens, what will be the outcome? Share your views. They'd be most appreciated. We hope you have found this video interesting and informative, and if so, please give it a thumbs up and share it on social media. Please ensure that you have subscribed to our channel and press the bell sign so that you are notified of any future videos. Also, kindly visit our website at illuminatisilver.com, and if you haven't already done so, please subscribe either as a free or paying member for regular email updates and offers. Disclaimer. Illuminati silver owners come from a background of banking, international wealth management and economics. Having now retired from these worlds, we are not qualified to give investment advice. Therefore, this and other productions must not be deemed to be giving such advice and merely represent the personal views of its owners.